Okay, so good Vach everyone. Wow, what a week, huh? Yeah, I know, huh? You know, Pesach and Shabbos, right one following another. Incredible, incredible, incredible. So the story of Pesach and the story of the Sphere Sa'omer, both basically a reiteration of the same basic principle. We also meet it in Pashas Shavua, in Pashas Achrei, uh, that deals with Aaron Cohen being forewarned to get into Kodesh HaKodeshim on Yom Kippur, all the conditions that must be met. It only can only be Aaron Cohen. It can only be one time a year on Yom Kippur. It can only be after Aaron Cohen brings all the sacrifices and the offerings, and he has to change his clothes 5 times, clothes of gold to white clothes, and clothes of gold and white clothes, and then into Kodesh HaKodeshim he can only wear white clothes, and each time he has to travel in the mikveh, and all this is very much in line with the Torah that we learn on Thursday in the Breslov Medrash, which is Torah Mem Tes, where Rabbeinu starts with the beginning of Etz Chaim, of Arizal. Kadosh Baruch Hu has vacated within himself a void, like a bubble, a conceptual void, in which Kadosh Baruch Hu's omnipresence is totally hidden. It's not possible to find Kadosh Baruch Hu there. And obviously, that void that we're talking about is a one-way mirror, as it were. I mean, from our side, there's a void that we cannot find a Kodesh Baruch Hu in it. But on Kodesh Baruch Hu's side, everything is just the way it was before the world was created. Now, the process of Pesach, the process of Sphira, the process of creating the world, and the process of a person's life every single day, they're all based on the same principle. The principle is that you are supposed to create, Kadosh Baruch Hu created a void within himself, a vacant space. A person is supposed to create a vacant space in his own heart. As a Kadosh Baruch Hu was omnipresent to the point that no creation was even possible, the same thing exists in the heart of every Jew. That the neshama of every Jew is flaming to HaKadosh Baruch Hu with such abandon that it has no boundaries. And when a person is, running with an abandon without boundaries, there's no shaychus to avodas Hashem. You can't serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You daven Shachris, you daven Mincha, you daven Maariv. You can't daven Mincha if you don't finish daven Shachris. And you can't daven Maariv if you don't daven Mincha. Putting on tefillin means that you're taking off tefillin. Even people who are pulling tefillin all day long, night comes, you're supposed to take the tefillin off. The main nekuda is that in order to facilitate growth, a sustainable growth, a growth that will culminate in us being exposed to the light of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, full blast, without falling apart. In the very beginning, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the primordial Sefirot, the full blast created a shattering. All the Sefirot, all the vessels shattered. The reason why they shattered is because the process was entirely done and initiated by HaKadosh Baruch Hu. There wasn't anybody to want anything before it. So it was done with what they called Hisaruta del Eila, an awakening from above. HaKadosh Baruch Hu decided to create the world. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu did it in such a way that it's not possible for HaKadosh Baruch Hu to finish, to bring the world to the position that it needs to be in, the madrega it needs to be in, without hitaruta del tata, an awakening from below. So when there were vessels and it became just an awakening from above, the vessels shattered. Two things happened at that time. When the vessel shattered because there was no awakening from below. There was no body, to awaken. But the shattering of the vessels have created the Yetzer Hara. And from that moment on, man is supposed to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu step by step and build one step at a time until he can get, the process that he can withstand the full light of HaKadosh Baruch Hu and not shattered and fall to pieces. If you want to get an example of how this works, you can take any kind of science, any subject, any chokhmah that you want. If you take somebody who is the uninitiated, and he has absolutely no volition to learn it, nothing will happen. You will just, give and give and give and dictate and lecture, and nothing will be created. If you force somebody to learn something, you're just driving them away. This is Shviras HaKelim. That's the breakage of the shattering of the vessels. The only way that you can do it is you expose them to it, and then you pull back. When you pull back, when you give the first lecture, when you tell somebody about a specific chokhmah, and you project something from that wisdom, something with that chokhmah, and then you pull back. When you pull back, it doesn't take everything away. It leaves a residue. Something there is left. If you teach somebody how to draw, if you teach somebody how to play music, if you teach somebody how to build rockets, it doesn't matter what it is that you teach. You know, the first time that you teach, you come in with something foreign. People not only don't know it, they don't even know what it is they don't know. So you project a light onto them and you take the light back. That leaves a certain kind of imprint in them. And then you come and you teach them some more. And then you take it back again. You don't overwhelm them. You project, you illuminate, and you take back. And that leaves another imprint. And then lesson number 3, again. And the thing is, they must do the work on their own. They must want it. They must practice it. With practice, what they do is they build their own vessels in order to get that chokhmah. And this is how slowly you build the entire chokhmah with capacity for the entire chokhmah. This is the way that a person, first of all, you can't just say, I want to play the violin, just give me the violin, I'm going to sleep with it, well, you can't do this. You got to take the violin, you're supposed to hold it a certain way, and it's not comfortable, you're supposed to hold that, and then you start playing, and it sounds like you're sawing wood, and like you're torturing cats, and then you learn, and you're doing, the very fundamental of it, you're doing scales and so forth, and some stuff. At the very end, when you already possess all the kalim, and everything is in control, you're not all over the place. Everything is a controlled chore, and it becomes something which is, you got it in your fingers, as it were. Then you can play the most beautiful music in the world. This is the way that we started Seder Pesach in Mitzrayim, being totally under their thumb. And we were under their thumb psychologically to the point that Kodesh Baruch Hu had to actually take us out of Mitzrayim in one fell swoop. There was no other way to do it. And first 7 days represented the first gift. We came out of Mitzrayim. Kodesh Baruch Hu took us out of Mitzrayim on his own. That was the Rosh Hashanah. We already had something. We had Korban Pesach, we had the Milah, we had Korban Pesach, we had something. But that only helped until we got to Yam Suf. Yam Suf, last night, day before, comes time for the sea to split. The ultimate preparation of a vessel is the sea splitting, because when the physical sea split, the sea of Chokhmah also split. The splitting of the sea of Chokhmah represents boundaries. A sea is something that, unless you have boundaries, the boundaries can be the splitting of the sea, or the boundaries can be a boat or a submarine. Without a boundary that will keep away the sea, a person drowns. The same thing operates with the light, the infinite light of Kodesh Baruch Hu. It's called Yama Chochma. Without tzimtzum, without constriction, without boundaries, a person drowns. At that particular point in time, we were so unable, we were so disabled. The only thing that we could do at that point in time is Moshe Rabbeinu puts his staff, upon the water, points at the water, and the water split. Before the water split, Nachshon ben Aminadov has to jump into the sea. And he's jumping into the sea, and the sea goes up and up and up and up and up. It doesn't split. And it goes until it gets to Nachshon ben Aminadov's nose. And at that point in time, then the sea split. So there comes a question of why, if what it was needed was a jumping into the sea, why did Moshe Rabbeinu himself jump into the sea? And why the sea wouldn't split until Nachshon ben Aminadov jumps into it? Well, Moshe Rabbeinu puts the stake. In Mitzrayim, we saw it's working very nicely. The answer is that in order for the sea to split, we need to have emunah in the tzaddik. We need to have emunah in Moshe. It could not be done through Moshe because Am Yisrael has to believe in Moshe. Moshe Rabbeinu says, you go into the sea, you walk into the sea. Nachshon ben Aminadov has to go into the sea. It's somebody else has emunah in Moshe. Without emunah in Moshe, there's no splitting of the sea. But it takes, again, it's the same thing like Kodesh Baruch Hu creates the world, and you need men, to initiate the process from underneath. And Nachshon steps into the sea, and the water go up and up and up and up. It comes to his nose. Nachshon ben Aminadov crying out to Kodesh Baruch Hu, Higiu maim ad nafesh. The water has come up to the place where I cannot breathe anymore. That's it. There's no breathing. Then the sea split. He didn't stop. When you have emunah and you go straight, and the tzaddik tells you you're supposed to go, you go. Then the sea split. Now comes the process that we have to create. We have to have the various piano lessons or violin lessons in order to get the Torah in Har Sinai. We passed 1 week of Chesed, Chesed de Chesed, Gvor de Chesed, all the different kind of boundaries, the kind of tzimtzumim, how to deal with this and how to deal with that and how to do this and how to do that when everything is good, when everything is kacha. We are going through 7 weeks of 49 consecutive lessons. Each one is its own tzimtzum and its own boundary, its own keli. It's only when you get 7 times 7, then we're ready to receive the Torah. And even then, we got the Torah and we crashed. We got the Torah and we crashed. The golden calf. So Moshe Rabbeinu created a Mishkan. And the Mishkan and all the karbonos in the Mishkan are all in order to be mamshich more and more, to draw more and more vessels, more and more tzimtzumim, more and more boundaries, more and more vessels that you can contain the light of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. When the Mishkan was standing, it worked like that, and when the Mishkan doesn't even exist anymore, it works like that, by us reading the Torah about the Mishkan, We tell him what the korbanos are, what are the sacrifices. And with this, we are pulling to ourselves that koyach to create those boundaries, these specific lessons. Now we are learning how to play scale, these scales, now arpeggios, whatever it is, then we play. Every single day you're building your ability to play that incredible instrument which is called a Jew. And every single thing that happens to you every single day is exactly such a tzimtzum. It's such a boundary. Because Baruch Hu shines to you and takes away the light. This happens to you, that happens to you. Nothing that happens to you is a coincidence. Everything is a very, very specific tzimtzum that comes from HaKadosh Baruch Hu in order to create within your nefesh a tikkun and a tzimtzum and a boundary and a keli that you're supposed to do that day. The world was created in 6 days of creation. The 6 days, they represent time and place. Up, down, left, right, forwards, and backwards. That's the 6 directions. There's 6 days. And then there's Menucha, and the Shlemus. That's the middle. That's Shabbos. So 6 days and the 7th, and 6 days and the 7th. It's a rhythm that you keep on making. Tzimtzumim and other keli. So everything that happens to you, you feel good or you don't feel good. This one, hurts your feelings. This one is paying you a compliment. But all these are Kadosh Baruch Hu shining a light and taking it back. And it leaves an imprint. Now the question is, what kind of imprint does it make? The imprint it makes is according to your emunah. As much emunah as you have, that's the kind of imprint that it will make. If you realize that everything that happens to you is a Kadosh Baruch Hu speaking to you, you may not necessarily understand, or you necessarily will not understand what the Kadosh Baruch Hu is actually telling you. But the fact that you believe the Kadosh Baruch Hu is telling you something, that in itself is the imprint it's supposed to leave. And it builds another day, and another day, and another day, and another day. And this is all the tzimtzum, all the karbonos, Kohen Gadol comes to Kodesh Kodeshim. All this is the one process that we are going through. And today, Baruch Hashem, this is, 8 days. We counted 8 days to the Omer. This is 1 week and 1 day. It's Indian that a week is a counting unit, a vessel, and a day is a vessel, an hour is a vessel, and a minute is a vessel, and it's all building. It's all tzimtzumim. The light shines, and it's been taken back. And the only process it's supposed to do is whatever comes your way, make sure to preserve that void in which the growth is possible. The way that you do it is by refraining from thinking bad thoughts. That's it. Nothing more than that. And if it doesn't work, you tell HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Ribbono Shel Olam, what shall I tell you? I'm banging my head against the wall. I don't cut mustard. What can I tell you? But you keep on keeping on. And every time that you manage to get off a bad thought, and it doesn't matter if a bad thought has been sitting on you for a long time, like an 800-pound gorilla with bad breath, and you just can't move. When you can, you jump off. When you can, you start. Now you can do it. Now you can. The main thing is that you don't know what a Kodesh Baruch Hu wants from you. You know basically what he wants. But specifically, what does he want with this particular tzimtzum, and this particular boundary, this particular test that you're getting? You don't know. Oh, what are you talking about? And for 2 hours I've been fantasizing Hashem Yirach and whatever it is, and now finally, oh, a tzaddik. Suddenly I'm breaking my head off from those bed thoughts. Great, great, great. Because the most special offering that there is in Beis Hamikdash, that the Medrash says, Kadosh Baruch Hu says, I'm giving up something of my own, and it's a secret that Kadosh Baruch Hu did not even reveal to Avram Avinu. Some say he did reveal, but only in the remez. That's the offering of the poorest of the poor. But supposed to bring an offering, supposed to bring a nice sheep, fat. If you can't, okay, you bring this. And if you can't, Dali Dalos is just a mincha that of cereal, that the it's the only carbon that is kosher, even if you bring just half. The mincha is bringing in the morning and evening. Just a half. There's no other carbons accepted that you can bring a half. What does it mean bringing half? I'm bringing half a good thought. I can make it. I can sustain a whole good thought, just a half. The first half, forget about it. I ain't telling you because I'm going to be too embarrassed. But the second half is good. That's the secret. That's the secret to the kiyum of the entire world, the existence of the entire world. There's so much to talk about this, but it's time for us to speak about the Baal Shem HaKadosh. So, it was an Anatif Yom Kippur. Kadosh Baruch Hu was standing in the Medrash and Kittel and Talis, and he is waiting for Tfilas Yom Kippur. And suddenly it looks that Baal Shem Tov is decidedly unhappy. There's like a shadow on his face. And obviously nobody dared ask him anything. The Filas Kol Nidre said with tremendous kavana, Talmidei Baal Shem. And immediately, before they started Maariv, it was a short intermission. Baal Shem Tov is standing on his place and he's thinking. And then a very wide smile spreads on his face and he tells the Hasidim, okay, it's time to daven Maariv. In Motzei Yom Kippur, the Baal Shem HaKadosh was in very, very good mood. And he told his Talmidim the following story. In one village, neighboring village, there was a Jew who was a nice person, and the fear of the Lord was a goy. You know, that he leased his lands to this Jew, and he really appreciated him and treated him like a personal friend. Now this Jewish harander, the leaser, died one day, leaving behind him, a young widow and a small boy. And very, very soon thereafter, La Aleinu, the Almana, the young widow, also passed away. And there is a little boy without a father or a mother. Now, the fear of the Lord, the Goy, he was also the friend of the Jew, at least the land from him. He took this little orphan to his house. Now, he himself, this Goy, did not have any children. And he became very connected to this little boy. And he treated him, like he was his own son. And so passed a few years. And the boy grew up in, the estate of that goy, with at the lap of luxury, and didn't even know that he was Jewish. He had no idea. Tinok Shanishba par excellence. One day when he played with other kids that came with their parents, to visit that Lord, probably, I don't know, was relatives, whatever it is. So a fight started between the children, and one of the children, the guests that came, told the boy, called him a Žid. This is in Russian, this is called a Jew. And he said that he's not even the son of the estate owner and that his parents were Jewish. Well, that boy obviously got very, very scared and immediately ran to who he thought his father was and asked him, what is it? So the feudalist says, what do you care? It's true or not true. He says, I love you. As far as I'm concerned, I love you like you're my only son, and I already designated you. You're going to be the one who's going to inherit everything that I own. It says, everything that I have, it's gold and silver and all the fields and everything is going to belong to you. But nevertheless, he did not deny what this other boy said. So the boy asked the landowner to tell him a little bit about his parents. Who were they, what they were doing. So the landlord told him that his parents were Jewish, and they were very, very honest people, and they were his good friends. And they were very poor. They didn't leave anything behind them except maybe an old book, with the cover falling apart, and an old sack. So the boys wanted to see what artifacts or whatever it is that his parents left him. That the landowner kept for him. This is his heritage. This is his legacy, whatever. And he saw there was a bag, very, very old bag of tefillin, and a thick book that was a machzor of Yom Mirai. Now, the boy opened the machzor, couldn't read a word. He didn't know the bag with the tefillin, what it's used for. But he asked, the Lord to please give it to him. It's memento from his parents. And he kept it. It was, as far as it was concerned, this was the only kernel of identity that he had. But without even knowing, he understood this is something very sacred, it's very holy, and supposed to keep it with great dignity. And a few days later, the boy went, going around, and while he was touring, he saw Jews that are packing their belongings. They're going for a trip. So he asked them, "Are you going to the market?" Now, they thought that he was the son of the landowner. Didn't know who he was, and he said, "No, we're not going to the market, but we are going for Yom Kippur to the next village, because we don't have a minyan here. We're going to pray together." He says, "What is Yom Kippur?" He asked them. So they told him, Yom Kippur is the day of judgment, where the Jews are asking the Rebbeinu Shalom to forgive them all their sins. That boy went back home, and he was very disquiet. Something pulled him to these Jews, and at night he had a dream, and his father came to him in his dream, and he said, "My son, you're Jewish. Go to the shul and daven with all the Jews, and the Rebbeinu Shalom will listen to you." The next night, he had another dream. This time it was his mother. He says, "My dear child, you are a Jew, and your place is among Jews, not in the house of the landowner. Today is Yom Kippur. Go to your brethren. It's not too late." The next day, the boy was very, very distressed, and was very depressed, and didn't know. And it was his luck that the landowner, went hunting. That was the day. So he was able to just reflect on these dreams that he had, and something pulled him. Then he decided. He took this bag of tefillin in the machzor and asked, "Where is the shul of the Jews?" And he went there, and he saw the Jews standing there wearing the white kittel and davening with tremendous kavana, with vekus, was Leil Yom Kippur, and the Seichel Nidre, and the Jewish boy listened to them, and they touched his heart, and he wanted to daven the Kodesh Baruch Hu, but he had no idea how. He says, "Me too," says the Baal Shem Tov. I was with tremendous grief on the role of this Jewish boy, and I was afraid that he will run away from the Beis Medrash. But sometime, and then he says, the boy opened the machzor, and that was in his sack. He says, "Rebbeinu Shalom, I have absolutely no idea how to pray to you. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to ask." So here, Rebbeinu Shalom, here's the entire machzor. Maybe the will before you, as if I daven all the tefillos in there. And with this, he put his face inside the machzor and started crying. Baal Shem Tov said when he saw that, the simcha went back to his heart, because he knew that the boy has already come back to Yiddishkeit. So that's the story about Shem HaKodesh. Right after Pesach, let's visit a Sicha in Sichos Haran. We have a short Sicha, but let's pick up a diamond. Where is the Sichos Haran? Why is this doing to me? Hold on, just 1 second. Alright. Just give me a second. No, this is too much. I had it open. I know I did. I apologize. We are holding in Sikha 121. 121. Okay, almost. Here we go. One time Rabbeinu has admonished us to daven b'kavana with all the koiches. As it is said in Rabbeinu's Sfarim, that you have to force yourself very much to daven, and to daven with all your koich. And he said to us, to the Hasidim, Beis Hasidim would do, davening with koilas. He says, your tefillah b'koyach, the way that you are forcing yourself to daven, it's like when I pulled the rope with the anchor when I was on the ship. Rabbeinu was on the ship going to Eretz Yisrael, and they were supposed to pull the anchor, and they couldn't pull the anchor, so they brought everybody in the ship to pull the anchor. He says, pull the anchor with all your koyach. He says, you davening with kavana, with all your koyachas, all your power, the way that I pushed the rope with the anchor when I was on the ship. He says, I was like pulling with all my koyach, but really, I didn't put any koyach into it. I was just, I had to show everybody that I was putting it, I was forcing myself, but I wasn't really pulling it. He says, your tefillah is like that. You're not really putting your koyachas in your tefillah. That is the sicha that Rabbeinu tells us. The nekuda is very, very clear. We want the entire tefillah to go, we all want to daven b'koyach, we all want to daven b'kavana and everything, but we don't really want to. Do you know what I'm saying? Now, don't repeat this to anybody, because I'm going to deny every single word. We want to daven b'koyach, but we want to want. We don't really want. We want to want. And then we start. Oh man, now I want to start. How is I going to do it? How can I possibly do this? Rabbeinu says that Alecha oragnu kol hayom, upon you we have sacrificed ourselves all day long. Just to bring yourself to want to daven b'koyach. Just to want to daven b'koyach. Sometimes you have absolutely no moichin whatsoever. So the only thing you can do is just say the words. Just the letters have tremendous koyach. Just say the words, enunciate the words, letter for letter, the way it's supposed to be enunciated. Even if you don't know what the words mean, it's okay. That will bring moichin to you. You have to jump like Nachshon into the water of the tefillah. Start. Immediately when you start, it sounds, let's go. Hashem, it's Nissen, there's no Tachnun. They say that the Chassan, during Sheva Brachas, he can collect enough money to buy himself an apartment, just going from minyan to minyan. So don't say Tachnun. And collect money from everybody to be present in this minyan. So they won't say Tachnun on Mondays and Thursdays. It's a joke. Not a very funny one, but nevertheless. Be that as it may, Pesach is over, Sfira is upon us. The main thing is Sfira is, of course, to count. Say Tehillim. The meaning is tshuva, doing these are the days to do tshuva. Rabbeinu says the biggest goal for tshuva is to say Tehillim. Say as much as you can, and mean every single word that you can, and identify yourself with what you're saying to the best of your ability. It's better to say a little with more kavanah than to say a lot and just run through it. This is our avodah, B'ezrat Hashem, until Shavuos. Kodesh Baruch Hu, B'ezrat Hashem, would help us all to count all the days of the Sefirah, to have Pesach inside us, and to continue B'ezrat Hashem, every single day with its own tzimtzum, its own tikkunim, its own kelim. B'ezrat Hashem, next time we meet will be Mirz Hashem Monday night. We'll learn Sipurey Baal Shem Tov. And until then, I bid you Shavua Tov and all the very best. That Hashem will be zeicher to see the coming of Mashiach Tzidkenu B'Rabbi Yameinu Amen.